I worked in music startups in San Francisco for like a minute before that, like years, because that was really fun. And I was
That would be really fun.
Yeah. And I was very much into music. And in San Francisco at the time, it was the burgeoning electronic music scene. So after graduation, I did like the San Francisco startup scene, then did the graduate school. I knew that was like where I was eventually going. But I mean, I graduated in 1998 from undergrad, and at that time, like, it was just booming. Like, I signed up with a music startup, and there was something like any referral that you send to us to also who is successfully hired will give you a $7,000 referral bonus. And I was like, oh, I, in San Francisco, like, got every single person I knew hired to that startup, and then and then like took some time off and applied to grad school. Yeah, after grad school, straight to New York. And at that time, I had done business journalism. I knew that was something I was interested in, but I was really interested in restaurants and food trends. So I got a job at a trade publication in New York and was a food and restaurant trends reporter. And so spent a couple of years just like really essentially like dining out for every single meal and reporting on
That sucks.
It does actually surprisingly get old after
It does, for sure. I don't want to eat out every day.
Exactly. For the first couple of years, no, I was good. But after a while, I was like, oh my God, another 7-course meal. But after that, I kind of like expanded my interests. First, it was like food trends and restaurants. And then I went on to run the restaurants and hotels coverage for Fodor's Travel, which I don't know if you remember Fodor's Travel, but it was like the big travel guidebooks. And that was fantastic. And so I got to oversee, 500 destinations and all the food and restaurant and hotel reporters in all those places, and really helped to shape what that section of the book looked like, as well as online.
Very cool.
And that was really fun. And so like, as I was doing this though, I also was becoming more interested in the drinks world because, after you eat out so much, like,
right,
eventually you become interested in like, what is this thing that is being paired with my meal? So I, started to get into cocktails and started to get into wine. And of course, I think as most people in the drinks industry have found, like, once you start down the rabbit hole, you just keep going. So I did WSET certifications, like started going down that road, and I wrote a cocktail book, and I became the wine editor for a magazine, and, just kind of moved through like my interests, basically, like found what my passions were and just pursued them professionally sort of every step of the way.
That's pretty cool. Not everybody can say they've done that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was very fortunate and the timing was right, and so from there, I then went over to Savoir magazine and helped lead a relaunch of the website for them. And then from that point, I continued on to Architectural Digest and Condé Nast and helped them really start to work on a millennial strategy for, engaging an entire new demographic of consumers.
What was that like?
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of research.
Yeah, totally. It was really an exciting time because, kind of in my career of having helped, publishing brands through relaunching their websites and like, building recipe databases and re-envisioning, what original content producer teams would look like. I was able to win a lot of awards and create some pretty exciting content that I'm still very proud of.
Yay, that's
like
awesome.
Original video programs for Savoir and for Architectural Digest. And so I think what became really compelling to me was this kind of new world of digital content and being able to help create exciting projects. Saw the writing on the wall. I think the last year that I worked at Condé Nast, they had lost like $150 million. And I was like, this is not sustainable. So I kind of knew the writing was on the wall for publishing, and like
things are changing and evolving.
Totally. And teams were starting to get cut. And I was like, all right, you know what? There's got to be something better here. And so at that point, I had really gotten so much into the drink side that I, in doing the WSET certifications, I, at this point, knew a lot of people in the drinks industry, and so many of them were like, there's just no good publication for us to read. And so I came up with this idea for a trade publication that would be actually interesting to read and not like pay for play crappy content, but like
Right.
actual original editorial. And there was nothing else like that at the time. So, the things that existed were either pay for play or they were for the C-suite, like all the CEOs and CFOs, but there was nothing for like real working SOMs and people who are like in the mid tier of importers and distributors and producers who are starting out, nothing. And so I came up with this idea for a publication that would cater to the needs of these different audiences. And then I kind of went and looked to see who had gotten the most funding. So I literally went on Crunchbase and like looked to see which startup has gotten the most funding. And 750, which was a platform to service both importers and distributors as well as on and off premise accounts through like, instead of having to order through like telephones, you now could do it online through this platform. So I approached them and they loved the idea and they hired me to start this publication for them. So I went on board with
That's awesome.
750 and we created the publication. It was called 750 Daily. It still exists. And so, so I ran that for some years and that was really exciting because I think it grew quickly. It filled a niche in the industry that didn't exist. We won like dozens of business reporting awards. It was very high quality content. So that was like a really exciting project.
Yeah, that's huge. I know 750 Daily. I don't remember the exact like timing where it just all of a sudden appeared.
Yeah.
But I do remember the content. I'm like, wow, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
It's really good content.
Yeah, definitely. So I haven't been involved with that for a long time. But after that, I then went and I started consulting. And that kind of, leads us to where we are here today, which is, as I was running 750 Daily, I saw a need for data and insights. And there was not really any data and insights that were available to people in the industry who are not working for like big portfolio, right? Because if you want Nielsen, you have to work for a company that can pay for you to have a seat to view, Nielsen's all of its dashboards and reports.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that there was a need and like I kept on going to Drizzly, which now has been acquired by Uber. It was acquired by Uber for $1 billion. And then they took the functionality of Drizzly, which was online ordering of alcohol delivered to your door, and then put it into Uber Eats. But at the time I approached the chief marketing officer of Drizzly and I was like, hey, you guys have so many incredible data. You're sitting on a treasure trove of data. And like, what could you do with this? Well, I have some ideas. This basically could be turned into a publication where you then are catering both to your retailers who are part of your network, as well as to PR and media who really need this. And so they were like, okay, yes, we do need something like this. And so they hired me to build out that publication for them and start this service. It became BevAlkInsights.com. And so that kind of further fueled my excitement about data and insights because there just is not that much free data out there. It is expensive to collect data. It is expensive to do like surveys and all that sort of stuff, which I now have found having commissioned my own surveys. But I think that's, that kind of led me down the path of saying like, there is the need for like data and insights reporting services. And that's kind of what I've become known for is I either will conduct research for associations or government bodies and then help them figure out how to interpret them or how to use those data and insights